All right, so the Colorado Avalanche will hit the ice for the first time after the All-Star break against Pittsburgh. We'll break that game down, what we expect from the game against the Penguins, and the second half in general. Are we going to see more of the same that we saw in the first half with the Avalanche, or is this team going to take that break and just go for broke in the second half of the season? And two more midseason grades to get to, and that is the two goalies. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe and get notified when the new show goes live. All right, Kyle, are you ready? You getting back in the saddle again and just to get some like real meaningful games? Like, okay, we talked about the All-Star game. That's so far in the rearview mirror after 24 hours. Let's get to some of the good stuff right now, right?
Yeah, especially with how they ended right before the All-Star break. You wanted to see if they could continue that hot streak and continue climbing up the Central. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm ready to go.
We will kind of discuss the Pittsburgh Penguins specifically, that game specifically, in the next segment. But we kind of just wanted to take a look at what we feel or how we feel the Avalanche will do here in the second half. I know we're beyond the halfway point. I haven't played 48 games, but usually use the All-Star game as like the break point. And the first half, no secret, was up and down for the Avalanche. You had good moments, like Kyle just said. They went into the All-Star weekend on a positive note, which was really good to see because, you had that really, really bad stretch right before the good stretch that led into the All-Star. And that's really what it was for the first half. It was just, a lot of it was injuries. A lot of it was guys that were called up. You had so many different roster players on the team. They've already surpassed last year how many total roster players they've used. It was just a crazy convoluted first half of the season. You're getting guys back. I mean, after the game Tuesday night against Pittsburgh, you're getting Byram back. You're getting Nichushkin back. Josh Manson is around the corner. And then after Manson comes back, the only ones you're missing are Helm and Landeskog. So you're getting healthier. What are we expecting for the second half of the season as the Avalanche as a whole? More of the same and just up and down? Or you think they're going to just hit their Avalanche stride and kind of what we've been used to with Avalanche hockey?
I feel like we're going to be optimistically out of this Pittsburgh game. You want to see them hit their stride and continue building on. Like the pieces that you mentioned that are coming back are going to be adding on what the Avalanche are building. Like this last 7 of 8 the Avalanche had before the All-Star break, you feel like they found success and an identity, even though they weren't finishing out the third period. Ideally, you think that when Manson and Bo come back, and even with Nuke, they understand that there's a direction for this team now, and it's not just help us however you can, which is how the losing streak 7 of 8 happened. It was just plug in and just do something. No, now this team has an established mission and they understand where they're going. And now any piece that does come back knows where this team is going.
And let's say Manson comes back in like a week or even 2 weeks. Well, you got to maybe expect him to come back within like the next 2 weeks. That'll take you to the middle or just past the midpoint of February, right? And the season goes till the midpoint of April. So you have 2 solid months where, you're what, 90% healthy. Like I said, the only ones you're really missing are Landeskog and Helm. So you have 2 solid months if nobody gets hurt, and I know that's a big if
Yeah.
with the way this season's going, but and you can never predict that stuff. But you have to say if, big if the Avalanche, once Josh Manson comes back, you have 2 solid months of a more than healthy team. And if that's all you're missing, you have to feel good about the way that the Avalanche, like we said, like played leading into the All-Star break and then coming out of that relatively pretty healthy. You got to feel good about them being able to kind of climb the ladder of where, in the standings, and the teams above them have a good buffer right now.
Yeah.
They do with Dallas and Winnipeg, at least in that division. There's a good break between them, but you can't tell me that those teams aren't looking over their shoulder at the Stanley Cup defending champion, as they all like to say when they beat the Avalanche. Um, they're definitely looking over their shoulder, just saying like, okay, we know this team is lurking, and we know what they're capable of. I think teams nobody's putting the Avalanche on the back burner and saying like, we're in a good spot. Nobody's saying that division.
And they're going to handle it with that pressure that the Avs are lurking and they're coming. And they're going to handle it that way on the ice. But as you mentioned, like in 2 weeks when Manson possibly comes back, we'll be in the middle of February. That's also knocking on the door of the trade deadline. And those teams will also address like they know the Avalanche they're starting to put things together. They're starting to play and reminisce. They're kind of similar to the team that they had to face last year. They're going to look at themselves introspectively and say, what do we have to do and put this together to keep them at bay and keep our position where we're sitting? So it's kind of a two-edged sword where the Avalanche are sitting. You have to improve, and other teams know they have to improve to keep themselves where they are currently sitting in the standing.
It's an interesting thing for the teams ahead of them, because it's easy to say we just have to play our game. We can't worry about the Avalanche. We can't worry about any team that's below us. We have to play our game. But if the Avalanche just get rolling, those teams are going to maybe press a little bit more, and knowing like, oh, we have to get 2 points. And maybe it takes them out of their game a little bit. It's a mind game. A lot of it is a mind game. So even if the Avalanche aren't playing those teams, if they're playing well and doing well in the standings, other teams take note of that. And maybe just some crazy psychology that the Avalanche can impress upon these teams above them just by playing well, maybe makes the teams ahead of them press.
And you mentioned it, like we all look at the All-Star break as kind of like the midpoint of the season, but after the All-Star break is when every team not only checks the box score for your team, you check everybody in your division, you check everybody across. We're watching points. How many points behind, ahead?
Yeah.
This is where it begins.
It's big, yeah. So we don't know, right? Obviously, you're not going to know the day before what the lines are going to be. Ben Myers was sent down before the All-Star break. I think a lot of us thought he was just going down there to get some games in while there was some days off. He hasn't been called back up yet, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be. So the Avs are probably going to run with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. You have Bowen Byram coming back, like we said. You have Nichushkin coming back, which is great. What are you thinking here for lines?
Yeah, with Bo, I am putting him. I'm not throwing him right back into the mix, especially with an LBI. I would sit him down in that last D pairing to start out. I would keep the D pairings, Makar, Taves. Then I'd go EJ, Sammy, and then I would probably go Bowen, Brad Hunt.
You would think so, yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing to do for your first game. At least see, how he's taking the ice in his first few shifts, and maybe even beyond, maybe just like the whole first period. You just kind of gauge whatever that lower body injury it was, and kind of at the first intermission, all right, how you feeling? And then maybe ramp up his minutes a little bit. You can't really switch the pairings. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be really, really tough to see, because you want to play him more, but if you're playing him along with Hunt, you're not going to give those guys as many minutes as, the pairings that are above them, but you want to give him time. And I remember he said something like, Byram said this to the effect of, I'm not, if I'm back, I'm back.
Yeah.
Like, just throw me to the wolves, basically. He's like, there's not going to be any, like, rusty period for me. But if you're playing on that third pairing, there obviously might be a little bit more cautious with you. I think as the season goes on, and if he can remain healthy, where he gets slotted in, does he switch with Sam Girard or something so they can put him on a line with Eric Johnson? You can't put Byram. I don't think you put Byram and Girard on the same line. I think that's just too small of a defensive pairing to do that. But that, I mean, you're waiting for Manson to get back, clearly.
That's exactly it.
Because then that fixes all the problems.
Yep. And you want to go slow with Bo. He could say, when I come back, I'm going to be back 100%. But you could tell us that all day long, but your body's going to tell us something different. And especially with how long it took you to react to the treatment and get back 100%, we're going to also take our time to make sure your minutes get back to 100%, because it's one thing to rehab to get there. It's another thing to get to playing shape and then going back to that fast Colorado Avalanche style hockey.
And then just ask you this question, and then we'll wrap up the first segment. Who's your 2C, Comfer or Newhook to start? Newhook. See if you can continue that hot streak. That's what sucks about this All-Star break, is guys like him who were, just on a nice tear. You got to take a seat for a little while. So hopefully he can get back to it.
You send him down, say, take it wire to wire, son. Let's go.
So we will discuss that game between the Avalanche and Pittsburgh, and kind of look at Pittsburgh, a very interesting team. Cannot make heads or tails of this team, no matter what you try to do. So we'll talk about them. And then, of course, two more midseason grades, and that's our goalies that we have to get to towards the end and finish up with those midseason grades. But first, we're going to talk about FanDuel. Whoa, there goes my ad. There we go. We got it back. Good thing I know how to use a keyboard. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because FanDuel is the #1 sports book in America. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports easy and fun. So download FanDuel now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet, and you'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The one that, like, anyway, let's talk about prop bets. It's kind of funny, man. Like, I always get a kick out of, like, when they talk about the halftime entertainment, like, what's the first song going to be? If you were that artist, wouldn't you just go and bet like millions of dollars knowing exactly what your set list is going to be?
Ooh.
Are you, how can they lock you out of that?
You would have to go through somebody else.
No,
because like, I mean, it would be
somebody else have to place a bet for you.
Yeah,
I have no problem doing it. Here, dude. Here's $1 million.
Yeah, they're like,
yeah,
that's wow. That's tricky. I've never thought about that.
I mean, clearly it's going to be Rick Astley, never going to give. So,
ooh,
how do they not have Rick Astley at Super Bowl halftime right now? At least just bring him out for that, and then you're done. 30 seconds of never going to give.
It just as a surprise, throw everybody's bet off.
Yeah, exactly. Because nobody's going to have that one. The FanDuel Sportsbook app, where you can do all of your bettings on Super Bowl 57 and beyond, is safe, secure, and super easy to use. And best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel at FanDuel.com/locked-on to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so the Avalanche and Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. This is the first of a 3-game kind of mini East Coast trip. They were just there. They should have just stayed there, and the rest of the team just come on over here, but whatever. So kind of a lot of traveling for 3 of the Avalanche anyway.
Yeah.
So they go back to the East Coast against Pittsburgh. You always are going to have some rust. And I know people hate that word, but it's twofold for the Avalanche, because you've had some time off, so you're going to be a little bit rusty. And then you have guys like Val Nichushkin and Bowen Byram, especially Bo Byram, who's extra super rusty. And I
they
think
have Brian Rust on the Penguins.
So I think the beginning of this game is just going to be just ugly.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, passes are not going to be crisp. I think, it's just going to be kind of like chaos. There's going to be no flow to the game. Our pets' heads are falling off. Like, it's just, it's going to be brutal.
It's going to be that.
But I don't think it'll last long. I mean, you're at the stage of the season where you get rid of that stuff. If it's the first game of the season, maybe that lasts like a period. This one might last like maybe 2 shifts each or something like that. And then you get right back into the flow of it. It's a lot of muscle memory at this point.
You hope the pace picks up about 10 minutes into that first period. You had enough shifts get out there. Everybody's got their feet back under them. They can get going, because I know it's been a while since they won the cup, but this Pittsburgh team is not bad.
They are the toughest team to pin down right now, if you ask me. They're in a playoff spot right now. I think they have a wild card, right? I don't think they're
they are in a wild card, and like going off their stats, like they're sitting like top 10 penalty kill, power play, like
they're up there.
But they're quiet. They never grace the headlines. They never have a storyline. It's Sidney Crosby did this, and then it's just quiet.
I think it's just because of that. I think we're just in a mode of, we just expect Pittsburgh to do this stuff. We just expect Pittsburgh to be in the running for a playoff spot. And we just expect Sidney Crosby to, he's having a really good season.
He really is.
And people kind of like are just like ho-humming about it because it's like, it's Sidney Crosby. He's supposed to do that.
And all eyes are on Ovechkin.
Right, so. Exactly. Oh, something just fell back there. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, but it's all eyes are on Ovechkin.
Yeah.
So the Sid and Ovechkin thing. So you just quietly watch Pittsburgh, but they go out there and then you only are like, wow, Pittsburgh won against insert name here. And then you go out and bet your day.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 60 points on the season. In 49 games played, he's got 24 goals and 36 assists. So he's having a very, very good season. But Pittsburgh as a team, so far this year, they have had winning streaks. They've had a 5-game winning streak and a 7-game winning streak separately. They've also had losing streaks separately of 7 and 6 games. So they are just boom or bust right now. And I think they went into this All-Star break, on a 2-game losing streak. It could have been a 4-game losing streak, but they pulled out a 7-6 overtime win against Florida.
Yeah.
So, if they lost that one, it would have been a 4-game because they lost one prior to that to New Jersey. So, they're not playing well heading into it. They're just up and down and up and down, and you just don't know what you're going to get with them. But they have Sidney Crosby. They have Malkin. They have good goaltending. They have really good defense. When these guys are healthy, the defense on this team is maybe some of the best in the league.
Yep.
It's just a struggle for them to put it all together right now for some reason.
And we complain about injuries for the Avalanche all the time. Pittsburgh has suffered a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of call-ups and call-downs. It's like Pittsburgh's had a go at it, and it's going to be cool to see Nathan McKinnon against Sidney Crosby. Like, those two are going to put their compete level on another level because, like, they're buddies. Like, this is what they do. So once you get to that 10-minute mark of the first period, I really feel like you're going to get an idea for how the game is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to feel like the Avs have the upper hand when it comes to goaltending just because of what you've seen so far this year, because it is hot and cold when it comes to the goalie situation in Pittsburgh. They can either be Vezina quality or very pedestrian.
And they split duty pretty much almost right down the middle. Tristan Jarry has 27 games played, while Casey DeSmith has 22 games played. That's pretty down the middle. Let's see. Jarry is 16-5-0, while DeSmith is 7-10-0. No, excuse me, 16-5. Yeah, 16-5-0. 2.65 goals against for Jari, while 3.35 against DeSmith. Jari with the better save percentage, 0.921 against 0.901. They both play. That. So we have no idea who is going to be the first one. I would think Jari, but
and I think Dustin Tokarski just got called up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton to go to Pittsburgh as a backup goalie. So also keep an eye on Tokarski.
So we'll see. You just don't know there's so many questions with this game specifically being the first game back after an extended break, going up against a team that you don't know what you're going to get on a daily basis from them anyway. This could be just a game where you just throw your hands up and be like, just get through this one. Just get through this one, get 2 points, however you got to get them. Because Pittsburgh could be looking like Stanley Cup-esque, or they could be looking like they're going to head the lottery. You just don't know. You don't know. So I watch every game, obviously, but I just feel like in the first few minutes of the game, just be smacking my head a lot because it's going to be a lot of what is going on out there.
And it feels like one of those games that whoever commands the tempo going into that first intermission will hold it through the rest of the game. So win the first period, you have a good chance through the rest of it.
Yeah, have a good first road period, and then hopefully, and that's one of the things with the Avalanche. We were saying, like, one of the things I want to see them stop doing is giving up those leads, those third period leads, which seem to just bite them. That's one of the things I'm sure that they talked about quite a bit during the break. If we have one of those leads going into the third, let's start that off on a really good foot.
Ghost of the 2021 season.
Ooh, I'd like to forget. A ghost is in this room right now somewhere. I don't know, knocking something over. Something fell. I don't know what the heck it was.
We'll look for ectoplasm in a minute.
I see ecto cooler, baby. All right, let's hear from Athletic Greens, and then we'll get to great midseason grades for our goalies. And Athletic Greens. Kyle and I have been taking this stuff for quite a while. You got your canteen there, sir?
I sure do.
Oh, look at that. It's a beautiful thing. And if you're someone that has some issues with your gut health and you're just wanting more energy, if you want to optimize your immune system and you hate taking pills and vitamins, but you want a supplement that works for you and actually tastes good in the process, Athletic Greens is for you. With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source superfoods to help you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients helps support things that we're just saying, with like your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and your aging. And it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, or a dairy-free or gluten-free diet. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar. There's no GMOs, no nasty chemical or artificial taste, and it tastes fantastic. Kyle can attest to that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This stuff has been clutch this week.
Because Kyle is trying to eliminate something that's been in his life for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to wean myself off of the energy drink.
He's trying to do it. So Athletic Greens is kind of helping him along here in that process. So it costs you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, which is cheaper than your cold brew and coffee Starbucks habit. So right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day, and that is it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, it's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Okay, so we've been doing our midseason grades, and we got through pretty much everyone. And I think, I was thinking about it, how we didn't have to do McDonald or Kaut. And I'm sure you were very disappointed that we didn't get to at least get to. I mean, we could have done it, but just that would have just been kind of kicking them while they're down.
I think
everything I'm hearing, I haven't really. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to say something.
I think I've made my my grade on Couch
well known.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's doing pretty well with San Jose right now.
And that was something that we talked about, was just the new fresh scenery. Like, you kind of ran
There's
your course in Colorado, fresh scenery.
zero pressure on you when you're with San Jose, no matter what division, if you're, at the pro level or with their AHL Barracuda team, who knows? All right. But the two that we have to get to obviously are the goalies. And we were just talking about Pittsburgh and their goalie tandem, and Avs have a good one for themselves with Pavel Francouz and Alexandar Georgiev. And why don't we start with the guy who's been there longer? So we'll start with Pavel Francouz. 14 games played. It seems like he's played more than that, though, doesn't it? It just seems like he's played so many more games, almost like, with DeSmith and Jari, like splitting it down the middle a little bit. 14 games played, and he's a 7-7 record, which is a little surprising too. His goals against are 2.58, while his save percentage is a 0.917. He's got one shutout on the season as well. And he's continued to do Pavel Francouz things. When the Avalanche need him, he steps in and does his job, and usually does it very, very well. I know you're a huge Francouz guy, so what do you got for a grade for him?
He's a B+ for me.
Okay,
he's a B+, and like I know everybody anticipated this being one of those A+.
A+++.
No.
No.
I'm being very real with every grade I give out, and like Frankie, he's a B+. And you mentioned his record, the 7-7, as being surprising. He accumulated a lot of those losses cleaning up for when Georgiev was pulled. You remember during that losing stretch, and then like the hot hand, kind of going over to Frankie, and then he started incurring some of those losses. Like, don't look at the win-loss so much per se. The 917 save percentage is okay, but when Frankie's on, he's on.
Yeah.
When he's off, everybody has to kind of change what they're doing and protect Frankie. And it's you don't have that faith that he can correct it and stay with it. He has his on nights and off nights. I give him a B+. He's been great in net. He's been a reliable backup. But how I was pitching that he should be the 1A or the starter, give him his due. He has not done anything to convince me that he deserves it yet.
I don't think he's ever going to be that guy. I just don't feel like. I think what he does for the Avalanche is his perfect role.
Yep.
I just can't get to where I think Pavel Francouz can be a day in and day out starter, and we'll get to Georgiev's stat line in a second. I don't feel like Francouz could put up those numbers. I just don't feel like he's built that way.
Yeah,
mainly
like
because
a Brian Elliott type goalie that always will be the backup everywhere, or Corey Schneider or Andrew Hammond, like maybe always playing as a backup.
Maybe I'm thinking that because that's just what he's been. So it's tough for me to envision him anything other than that. And I think at this stage in his career, I just don't feel like he's going to be given the opportunity to go out and be an A1 guy. But for me, in a grade for him, like you look at his game logs, and it's like flipped as terms of wins and losses. Like everything, like he's been doing well as of late. He started the season, his first 7 games. Hang on here, let me get to So his first 7 games, 2-5. His last 7 games, 5-2. So he's flipped it around. Like he was having a rough go of it, as was everybody for the Avalanche early on. But what you've seen from him lately is a lot. I don't want to say I was going to say a lot more trust. They've always had trust in him, but I think it was just one of the things where they had to get him going. And you heard that about Georgiev a lot. It was like he's got to play. Well, the same thing is true for Pavel Francouz. So I think once they got him, and after that shutout that he had, he went right back out and played another game against the shutout against Ottawa. And then the Detroit game, he went out and won that one, right? I think he gave up 3 goals in that one, but they still won that game. And he that game against Seattle, he was a goalie in that one. So he's done well. He's done well. He does everything that they asked him to do again. So I'm with you on that, though. I think, you have to take the whole first half into account. So I can't just, backload it with how he's done recently. Although that helps his case a little bit more. So I'm with you. I think a B+ is a fair grade for Francouz, but I do want to see if he can continue that, and not have that split between the first half of the second half and the second half of the second half, if that makes sense to anybody. I think he's lined up for being an important part for this team going forward. So, and then finally, Alexandar Georgiev, the newest goalie, obviously. So 34 games played for him, a 20-11 record with 3 overtime losses, a 2.6 goals against average. He has a worse goals against average than Pavel Francouz does, but he's at like 3 times as many shots thrown at him.
Yeah.
And 2 shutouts for .919 save percentage for him, and 2 shutouts for Alexandar Georgiev. Talked about him a lot before the season even started when the Avs acquired him. And, not if you listen to the show all the time, I was skeptical, and I turned around pretty quickly on him. And I think he's done a fantastic job as the go-to guy for this team. What do you got for him?
Flat A.
Yeah.
Flat A. It would have been touching A+. The collapse was kind of brought him down a little bit. But here's the difference in the goalies. I didn't bring it up when we were talking about Francouz because I wanted to bring it up here. When things were going bad for the Avalanche, knowing Georgiev was in goal, I felt okay with him being back there. If we couldn't score, I felt like at least we would hold up on the shots. When Frankie's back there, I didn't have that same feeling. You're like, as long we can't score, I don't know if the defense can stop anybody from scoring. And if Frankie lets 2 in, just forget about it from there. That's the difference in the 2 goalies. That's why he's a flat A. I would have given him an A+, the freak out, and just like the New Jersey game. And there was a lot of different things. But he's been incredible. Could be a household name when it comes to the upper echelon of goalies that the Avalanche have had. We'll find out. We've been saying this for Varlamov and Grubauer, and the song of Darcy Kemper was a one-hit wonder. So we'll see what we'll be saying about Georgiev, but he's a flat A.
Yeah, he hit a little bit of a rut right when everybody else was. So it wasn't solely on him. But it's nice that the Avalanche have a goalie that if the team is a little bit off and he's on, he can steal them a game. And I liked Darcy Kemper. Really, I love his demeanor. I love his attitude. But he it was an up and down year for him. And I didn't really feel like Darcy Kemper can steal us a game. There were moments when Philip Grubauer did that, and maybe his last year with the Avalanche, where he just played out of his mind. And we're kind of there, or I'm there with Georgiev. Like, I feel like if the team's having an off night, if he can at least have an on night, they're in the game.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, man. I'm gonna give him an A. I'm not gonna that little kind of rut that they had, which the entire team had. Everybody's going to go through a little bit of a down period during the duration of a long hockey season. It's just going to happen. But it seems like he's crawled out of it. Seems like they all have. And, now we're looking forward to the second half. But I'm with you. I think he's, it's one of those things where it's like Sakic and McFarland know what they're doing.
Yep.
And the next time they want to make a deal, I'm just going to shut my mouth and just, say, you guys know what you're doing, which is why you get paid and I host a podcast. So, I'm with you, man. We're in agreement on both goalies for grades.
Who would have thought?
Wow, what's going
on?
on?
At the beginning of the season, that would have never happened.
No. So, so that'll wrap it up for the midseason grades and this episode. So definitely go comment away if you agree. I'm interested to see what people will give out for grades for both of these guys. So, there's lovers of Frankie, and they'll say we got it too low. I know that they will, but comment away. That's what it's there for. Use your voice for good. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Kyle and I will be back tomorrow after the Avalanche and Pittsburgh game finishes up, and we'll break that entire bad boy down. So we'll be back tomorrow with a fresh episode. But thank you for making this episode your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Definitely check us out on our social media outlets. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.